This is a noon cannon. It's a device which is designed as like a primitive alarm clock. So the concept is that sun is concentrated by this lens here on the touch hole of the cannon, and when you align the sundial with noon, the cannon will fire at noon. Dating it is a little difficult. I'm thinking probably the first half of the 19th century, maybe somewhere between 1820 and 1840, something like that. Interesting enough, it's not actually a noon cannon, it's actually a noon mortar. So the gun has got an absolutely huge bore. It's coming up for sort of the size of a small musket. Conventionally, these things have a much narrower bore, longer cannon, much more like a traditional cannon. One of the problems it causes is that you actually need quite a bit of gunpowder in it to fire it. So I don't use cordite in this. There's no proof mark on this, as it's probably French. I use black powder. I use 3F black powder. The noon cannon, like myself, is an import into Australia. So there are a couple of problems with that. The first is that the sundial goes in the wrong direction because the sun is moving in the opposite direction to the hemisphere where it was manufactured, probably in France. It means to say that the shadow of the sun, instead of going towards showing the time, it's actually showing the reverse of that. It actually moves in the reverse direction. Nothing we can do about that. I had the same problem with the armillary sundial that I got over there. With the armillary sundial, though, I just flip the ring round, so it was reversed. I can't do that with the noon cannon. The second problem was that it was designed for much lower latitudes. So it was designed for France, as I said, or France or the UK, and as a result of that, the sun doesn't actually come to focus on the touch hole. So it focuses behind the touch hole. So I'm not going to be able to use the sun to fire it today. I'm just going to use a little bit of slow match to show you how it works. What I'm going to do is extend these arms. I'm going to make two more arms so that the lens will actually focus on the touch hole, and we will be able to get it to fire from the sun. Anyhow, first off, I'm going to charge up the camera with a bit of gunpowder. I'm going to be firing a little bit of wadded up aluminium foil rather than what people would normally use, a bit of patching. We've had quite a dry year here, and I don't want to shoot flaming cloth out over the forest. All right, so onwards and up. We're back in Brisbane now, and I've had a look at the thread on the two support arms, and not surprisingly, it's a non-standard thread. So ISO threads didn't come into existence until about the 1850s, something like that, and they weren't universally adopted then. So the closest thread that I've got to what's in these guys is an M4 0.7 tap. So I'm going to drill both these arms out and tap it with this, and I might need to use a little bit of copper filler to get the screws to sit properly. I've already done a notch for the lens assembly to fit in. We'll see how we go. That was actually quite a bit easier than I thought. In the end, I didn't need to do anything special to get the tap to take the screws. It was all good. I put a couple more detents in by putting a 5M drill bit through these guys, and taking one of these M5 yellow high tensile bolts. I'll fix them in with a bit of solar so they're nice and secure and they don't move. Obviously, it's important to get the distance between the detente and the pivot point absolutely right, otherwise it won't mate up properly with the setting dial on the noon cannon. So that's pretty good. They still look a bit bright and shiny, these new guys, so I'll probably use the Dremel to roughen them up a little bit and knock off the hard edges and some of these extrusion marks.
but I'm quite happy with how that went, and hopefully we'll be able to get a decent focus, and next trip up we'll see the sun actually firing the noon cannon.
So I made it back to the cabin, and I finished off the two extension arms. I've distressed them by rubbing them down with some 120 grit and then 240 grit sandpaper. So we can put it all together and see if we can get the sun to fire it.
So that was a lot of fun. Made a nice loud bang. We got the puff of smoke as well. Unfortunately, the iPhone tends to mute the sound of the report a little bit, even using a microphone close to the cannon. So I've just got a couple of clips on here at the moment to keep everything secure. I haven't fastened down everything because I wasn't completely sure about the focal point for the lens. Now I am. I'll get rid of those. Fair about a bit of scorching around the touch hole there. I had a few goes before actually taking that video, just to make sure I could get everything absolutely right. So I'm very happy with the way that went. I think this will be a regular occurrence up here, and not too regular. We don't want to frighten the kangaroos and the wallabies.